We had a ritual, Cora and I. Every day around 3, when the afternoon started to drag and the office got that heavy, fluorescent, nobody's really working feeling, one of us would tip our head toward the door, and the other one would already be reaching for their coat. There was a little coffee place 2 blocks down. Nothing special, but those 15 minutes were the best part of my day, every single day, and I'd stopped pretending otherwise a long time ago. I should tell you about her first. Cora had worked on my team for about a year and a half. She was quick. The kind of quick where she'd land a joke so dry you'd only get it 3 seconds later, and by then she'd already moved on, and you'd just be sitting there laughing alone like an idiot. She noticed everything. She remembered that I take my coffee stupidly plain. She remembered the name of my sister's dog. She had this way of looking at me when I was talking. Really looking like whatever I was saying was the most interesting thing that had happened all day, and I knew that probably wasn't true. But God, it did something to me every time. I'd made my peace with it. That's what I told myself anyway. She was a coworker. There are rules, spoken and unspoken. So I took my 15 minutes at 3 o'clock, and I did not let myself want more than that. Or, I told myself I didn't. Which is a different thing. So there we were, on an ordinary Thursday, walking back with our coffees, and she got quiet in a way she didn't usually. And then she said, "Can I tell you something I've never told anyone here?" I said, "Of course." She kept her eyes on the sidewalk. "I have a crush on someone. At work." And she said it fast, like she had to get it out before she lost the nerve, and then she laughed at herself, embarrassed, and my stomach did something I wasn't proud of. Because here's the thing about hearing that from the person you've been not wanting for a year and a half. It hollows you out a little. I felt it happen in real time. But I did the thing you do. I put on the good friend voice, the happy for you voice, and I said, "Okay, you have to tell me who." She wouldn't. She just smiled and shook her head. So I started guessing, and this is the part I'll never forget. Because I was so sure it wasn't me that I made it into a game. I threw out names, the guy from finance, the new designer, the funny one from the 3rd floor. And with each name she'd just shake her head, quieter each time, her smile getting smaller and something else creeping in behind it. "Okay, give me a hint," I said. And she thought about it. And then she said, "They're the reason I actually look forward to Mondays." Shake of the head at my next guess. "They have no idea how funny they are." Another wrong name. They think they're being subtle about how they take their coffee, but it's the plainest coffee I've ever seen a human being order. And I laughed. And then I stopped laughing. Because that was my coffee. I turned to look at her, and she was already looking at me. She'd stopped walking. And she didn't say anything. She just stood there on the sidewalk with her coffee going cold in her hand and looked straight at me and went completely quiet. Because she'd run out of hints, and the only thing left to do was let me see it. Let me arrive at it myself, and I watched her brace for it. This flicker of fear crossing her face, this "oh God, what did I just do" look, and the silence stretched out between us and got so loud I could hear my own heartbeat. I want to tell you I said something smooth. I didn't. What I actually said, after a second that felt like an hour, was, "It's me. The plain coffee. It's me." And she gave this tiny, terrified nod, so I told her the truth back. I said, "I look forward to Mondays too, you know. And I've spent a year and a half telling myself it was because I like my job." I looked at her. "It's not because I like my job, Cora." She let out a breath she'd clearly been holding since we left the office. And then she smiled. The real one. The full one. The one I'd apparently been chasing across 100 3 o'clock coffee runs without ever admitting that's what I was doing. We stood on that sidewalk, grinning at each other like a couple of idiots, while our coffee went cold. And neither of us knew what to say. And it didn't matter. Because everything had already been said in the part where nobody said anything at all. I've thought a lot about that silence. About why it hit so hard. Because words you can hide behind. You can say I have a crush on someone and keep it vague and safe and take it back if you have to. But there's a moment where the vagueness runs out, where the only honest thing left is to stop talking and just look at the person and let them see the whole truth on your face. That's the bravest thing she could have done. Not the confession. The silence after it. She could have laughed it off, named someone fake, protected herself. Instead, she stopped, and she looked at me, and she let the quiet say the thing she couldn't. Here's what I keep coming back to. There are people walking around right now with a 3 o'clock ritual and a plain coffee secret and a year and a half of telling themselves it doesn't mean anything. There are so many crushes that never get said out loud. So many people who look forward to Mondays for a reason they'll take to their grave. All because the risk of the silence, that terrible, exposing, heart-in-your-throat silence, feels bigger than the reward. It isn't. I promise you, it isn't. If there's a person who's the reason your worst days are survivable, the reason you look forward to the thing you'd otherwise dread, you don't always have to find the perfect words. Sometimes, you just have to stop and look at them and be brave enough to let the quiet do the rest. You'd be amazed who's been waiting on the other side of that silence, hoping you'd finally look up.